Hey folks, this is Kalani. Welcome back to the Blackrock Foundry raid guide for normal and heroic. This time we'll be looking at the blast furnace. This fight consists of 3 phases and a lot of little pieces which fit together to create the fight. For the first phase, you're going to have to worry about the blast furnace, furnace engineers, bellows operators, security guards, and then foreman feldspar. The objective of this first phase is to destroy the 2 heat regulators on the blast furnace. To do that, you'll need to split your group down the middle and send one to each side. The first thing you need to be aware of is blast. This comes from the blast furnace and is going to happen periodically throughout the fight. It's a large amount of damage to all of your raids, so make sure your healers are on top of it. To keep that blast damage from getting too high, you'll need to take out the bellows operators. There'll be 1 on each side and they'll be heating up the furnace. They don't really do a great deal while they're trying to heat up the furnace, so just nuke them down as quickly as possible. There's going to be an engineer on each side which is going to throw bombs at random players. Now if you have a priest, you can actually dominate mines these engineers and throw them to select targets, which makes things a little easier, but either which way, if you get a bomb on you, you'll need to run to the heat regulator, detonate it, and then move away, because there's going to be people coming behind you with bombs, and it does damage in a radius around you, so if you get too many people clumped together, you're going to blow each other up. That's bad. Make sure you're going one by one, and as soon as you've detonated your bomb, get out of the way. Those engineers also try to repair the heat regulators, so make sure that's being interrupted. Whenever you kill an engineer, they're going to drop a bag of bombs. Right click on that bag, you'll get a bomb, exact same deal, but if you don't empty that bag, it does explode after a short duration, so make sure you're nowhere near that if you don't need the bombs. The last add in this phase is the security guard, and its only real danger is that it will start casting defense. It'll throw down its shield in an area, and anything within that area will take 99% reduced damage, meaning it makes them practically invulnerable for a length of time. Keep this away from the bellows operator, and if it ever casts it down where the other adds are, move the other adds away. The reason why you don't want it near the bellows operator is because you cannot move the bellows operator. One side of the room is going to have to deal with foreman feldspar. Now you might want to take an extra healer over there depending on how you're dealing with it, but he has a few abilities of his own. PYROCLASM is a cast which needs to be interrupted, which isn't really too difficult to handle, but it does deal a large amount of damage, so interrupt that when you can. Rupture is going to mark a target and they'll leave a rupture of fire on the floor after a few seconds. Make sure those are being taken to the side of the room where they're not going to be anyone's way. He has one last ability, which is hot-blooded. His very presence burns his enemies with fire damage, and that just needs to be healed through. As long as your DPS are on point, phase 1 should go smoothly, and then you'll transition into phase 2. This will start with the Heart of the Mountain breaking forth from the blast furnace, and then he'll come under control of the primal elementalists. But first, you're going to need to deal with everything that's left over from phase 1, including feldspar. Gather everything up, cleave everything down, and make sure you're pretty clean going into phase 2, because you're going to have a lot more adds to deal with. Slag elementals are going to start spawning, and they're one of the most important parts of the phase. They'll fixate on a random raid member and start casting burn. That's a short ranged attack which needs to be interrupted when getting them into position. They need to be positioned over one of the primal elementalists, and then killed. When they die, they trigger slag bomb, exploding in a short radius, doing a lot of damage, so make sure you're not in that when they explode, but that explosion needs to hit the primal elementalist, because they have a damage shield which makes them immune to damage. That explosion will remove the shield for a short duration, and they can be DPS down. You need to kill all 4 primal elementalists to release the Heart of the Mountain to kill it. You're on a bit of a timer because those shields do come back up. We needed 2 slag elementals on average to take down 1 primal elementalist. As a note, they're also going to try heal themselves with reactive earth shield. This is a magic debuff on the elementalist and needs to be dispelled. The last new addition in this phase are the fire callers. They will cast a heal, CAUTERIZE wounds, which needs to be interrupted, lava burst, a single target high damage ability which can be interrupted and should be where possible, and then volatile fire. They'll mark random raid members, and after 10 seconds they'll explode for a large amount of damage within 8 yards. Spread out with volatile fire, keep the fire callers stacked on top of the main target you're attacking, either the slag elemental or the primal elementalist, and cleave them down where possible. Security guards are going to continue to spawn throughout this fight, so make sure they're being tanked away from everything else and designate a few DPS to kill them if they get out of hand. This phase is all about execution. You need to get the slag elementals on top of the primal elementalists before they die, and have another slag elemental ready on top of them when the shield is going to come back up. It should only take you 2 maximum to kill those elementalists, and then move on to the next one. Do that 4 times in quick succession, and you should have this phase down without any problems. Bear in mind that the slag elementals don't die, they just go dormant, and every 4 blasts they're gonna come back alive. So you need to get this done before you get overwhelmed by slag elementals, because they're not gonna stay dead. When you transition to phase 3, you want to kill any leftover security guards, because the slag elementals are going to keep coming back. You can cleave them down if it doesn't hurt your single target too much, but focus on the heart of the mountain, because that's going to be active, and it's going to be causing a lot of issues. The first issue is a tank debuff. This is heat and tempered. Pretty easy to deal with, actually. Just swap it 3 stacks, and that should be fine. The next thing to deal with is melt. This is going to be a void zone-like debuff, which a player needs to place very quickly. They're going to place it as far back into the room as possible and out of the way of your progression. So you want to go to one corner of the room when you are transitioning to phase 3 and work your way around from there and make the most of the space available, because those huge melt zones are going to cut you off if they're placed poorly. Phase 3 is a very typical burn phase, very easy burn phase, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem as long as people are placing melts properly. And that should be enough for you to take down the blast furnace on normal and heroic. If you have any questions or queries, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll try and get back to you. Feel free to check out any of my other guides for Blackrock Foundry, normal and heroic. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.